Welcome to Bloomington Today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kaylin Cockrell. Last week on Bloomington Today, we brought you a story of the city's transition from using sand to help de-ice wintry roadways to now only using salt and other chemicals. We went out with street maintenance crews before our last snowfall here in Bloomington to find out how this new cleanup system requires action before the first flake has even fallen. Take a look. The sun is shining and the roadways are clear, but the upcoming weather forecast has kicked the Bloomington street maintenance crews into high gear.
Well, when we have a forecast of snow, we usually try to get out 2 to 3 days ahead of time and start our job preparing for the snowstorm. 3 days before, we'll start blending the materials and getting materials ready, and 2 days before, we start applying our anti-icing materials, our liquids, to the road to help prevent the bond of snow and ice when the snow does start falling.
Huge tanks inside the Public Works garage house thousands of gallons of choice fluids. And when mixed together, the city of Bloomington has a recipe for success. Liquid corn salt, calcium chloride, and salt brine are blended by crews. The result, a mixture that not only brings down the melting point of roadways, but holds material better when applied.
Well, I think we have a proactive and a reactive system. So we used to be on a reactive basis, which was sand with a little bit of salt in it. So that would be when the storm started or after the storm was completed, we would go out and plow, just put sand at the intersections. So that would give us just enough to keep from sliding on the intersections. Not a real good program. We didn't have a lot of melt. And now we're more proactive. We're 2 to 3 days ahead of time. We're out trying to keep things going, keep the city safe. It uses less material. We don't have the loss of the sand in the storm sewer in the river. We use less salt in a hole than we would have beforehand because we're not melting all the ice pack on the roads because we're keeping it off from the beginning.
Pre-icing the roads before a snowfall not only helps crews use less material during a storm, but reinforces the city's #1 goal: the safety of those who visit, live in, or work in Bloomington.
The safety factor of our roads has gone up tenfold. All our main roads, even our residential roads, we have a much better snow and ice system than we did just 5 years ago. We've changed from, like I said, being reactive to proactive. Instead of waiting for a 3 or 4 inch snowfall, now we start with 1 inch. As soon as it starts blowing, we're out applying. So, there's a better chance you're getting to work tomorrow because of the way we do things.
The valve system that controls how much material from each tank is pulled to blend the pre-icing solution was created from scratch by a few of our very own Public Works city employees. Thanks for continually working to make our roads more safe. And although snow may still be in the forecast, spring is right around the corner. With warming temperature comes a great concern for Bloomington city officials when it comes to the diminishing ice on our area lakes and ponds. One concern in particular, the storm water retention ponds located in various places throughout the city.
Anytime we get melting on the streets, and that melting runoff goes into the storm sewer, that will go into one of the ponds somewhere, the holding ponds. And wherever that inlet is, that warmer moving water can start to melt ice. And so ice might be on one side of a pond fairly safe, but where that inlet is, it can be thin, or in most cases, you'll actually see open water. So once we get to this time of the year when we get melting at all, we really tell people to stay off.
City officials want to caution residents to use their best judgment when venturing out onto area lakes this time of year. And as a rule of thumb, keep in mind that Bloomington is no longer maintaining city ice rinks due to the warming temperatures. Lakes and ponds are expected to follow that thawing trend in the coming weeks. And warming temperatures don't just bring budding leaves and green grass. It brings suspension-pounding potholes. Street maintenance crews are on high alert in an attempt to get a head start on the 2011 pothole patrol. Warm winter days causes snow to melt, water then seeps into the cracks in the blacktop, the temperature drops and that water freezes. The ice expands and cracks the blacktop. Cars drive over that and city crews are left doing this. That is how a pothole is formed. Bloomington street crews are already out trying to get ahead and patch as many holes as they can before the big snow thaw begins. Street maintenance worker Paul Fink runs us through how the patching process goes when dealing with what they call an axle breaker.
We don't get to prepare the holes as well as we could in the summer. This is more or less an emergency patch so that we don't have any damage to any of the vehicles or the residents of Bloomington. And we're mainly going after these bigger, what we call axle breakers. And we are trying to do a decent job to make them a little smoother, so we have a roller with us today. And we come behind and we smooth them out.
The dump truck heats the filling material at 250 degrees, so it's very easy to work with when it dispenses. Once all the potholes are filled, this truck doesn't park until next pothole season. It's multi-purposed.
What's nice about this truck is we can just take this unit right off the truck, and then we can put a sander unit on it, or we can put another a box, just a regular dump truck.
City workers are also focusing their attention on snow removal from the boulevards between snowfalls. This will redirect that snow that's left to the gutters rather than the roads when it starts to melt. City officials encourage people who live, work, or visit Bloomington to share the location of annoying potholes so crews can get out there and have them filled. There are several ways to do that. You can call the city at 952-563-8760 or use the Ask the City's online pothole service request and let crews know the location of that bothersome pothole. Well, in an effort to build a better Bloomington, the city's Housing and Redevelopment Authority, or HRA, is offering assistance to residents who have purchased a foreclosed home within the last 12 months. The Foreclosed Home Improvement Program offers loan funding of up to $20,000 to the buyers of a foreclosed property. One half of the amount borrowed will not have to be repaid if the owner lives in the home for 5 years. Many foreclosed homes need additional work. Here's what improvements are eligible.
The eligible improvements include, we like to think of as any permanent type of improvement. And by that we mean if a homeowner is to sell that home down the road, they can't take that improvement with them to a new house that they purchase. That's not a catch-all, but that's a good way to look at it, or a good rule of thumb. That eliminates appliances, which are not eligible, and then also luxury type improvements are not eligible. So they can do siding, windows, roofs, kitchen additions, bathroom remodels, basement finishing, doors. It's pretty wide open.
Income guidelines, depending on family size, must be met by the potential borrower. In addition, you must purchase a home within the target area shown here. East Bloomington has one of the higher foreclosed home rates in the city, so getting people into these homes is key.
The foreclosed condition means that these properties do need work. So number one, the buyers can typically get a foreclosed home for a reduced price, and then they can use this money, which is a very good incentive, to make the home improvements, actually bring it back to what we'd like to see as a good, safe, habitable home. So that's a good incentive to get them purchased. Again, our goal is to try and get people in these homes so they aren't vacant.
Some examples of luxury improvements that do not meet the guideline for the Foreclosed Home Improvement Program include pools, hot tubs, gazebos, and sheds. To find out more information, or if you'd like to request or download an application, visit the city's website at www.ci.bloomington.mn.us and keyword search FHIP. Well, now it's time for a short break. When we come back, we're joined by Fire Marshal Jean Dugal to talk a bit about some fire hazards we should all be aware of. Stay with us.
You can get a physical exam now, or you can get one later. Talk to your doctor about a physical. Learn how to lower your risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease and live a healthier life.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now joined by Bloomington Fire Marshal Jean Dugal. Thanks for being here today. How are you?
I'm just fine. Thank you.
Good, good. Well, we'll just jump right in. In light of a recent fire that took place here in Bloomington that ended up displacing several families, we kind of wanted to do a little winter fire hazard update on, things to watch out for. So why don't we start by talking a little bit about what happened in that fire off of Nicollet Avenue back in February.
Okay. The fire department was called to a fire. It was on February 8th. It was just before 5 o'clock in the morning. And when the police and fire department arrived, there was people standing outside. There was heavy smoke and fire, and people were actually jumping from windows and stuff. The police are there right away and started assisting people down from the windows, and then when the fire department arrived, they put up ladders and helped get the rest of them down. They did an excellent job of getting these people out of there, although there were several injuries. There was people taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation, some cuts and injuries from falls. As a result of the fire, all the tenants were displaced. The building was no longer livable until it's remodeled. So, when we did the fire investigation, what we determined that happened was they were using a stove to heat the apartment. And evidently their regular heat, there wasn't enough for them, so they thought they'd turn on their stove, the burners, and use the stove for that, and so ended up causing the fire in the apartment. So one of the other things that happened here was one of the tenants, as they went out the window from that unit, went around to the door and opened it to check to see if there was anybody else in there, and left the door open. What happened then was the fire escaped out into the hallway, and the heavy smoke and fire caused the other exits from the apartments to be blocked, which caused the people to have to use their windows. So.
Oh, wow, scary situation. Well, we'll talk a little bit about what are some of the most common fire starters that you see in the winter.
Okay, we see space heaters. People have them on, and they should always look at the manufacturer's recommendations or keep 3 feet around the space heaters. And they really shouldn't be used around combustibles. They shouldn't be used where there's kids running around or even animals.
Okay.
So, another one is candles. Candles is a year-round thing, but people tend to put them someplace, maybe a curtain floats over them and catches them on fire. Candles burn down too much. They're not being observed, and they can start things as they melt down, cause things to burn. We have unattended cooking, which is probably our biggest cause of fires.
Really?
And what happens there is people put like grease or oils on the stove, and they're waiting for it to heat up, and they go off doing something else, forget about it, and then pretty soon it ignites and it starts your microwave or your cupboard's on fire and spreads from there. Another one is smoking. Although cooking is the leading cause of fire, smoking is the leading cause of fire deaths.
Oh, wow.
And we encourage people, if you're going to smoke outside, but if you're going to smoke inside, use an ashtray, a large one. Make sure you put your cigarettes out. Don't throw them in trash cans or anything like that. If you are a smoker, don't smoke in bed or fall asleep with your cigarettes. And if you're intoxicated or using medications, you should not be smoking. So,
absolutely.
And one other thing is fireplaces, especially wood-burning fireplaces. You have sparks and stuff. Make sure you have a guard on the fireplace. The chimneys should be checked. I mean, they build up creosote if you're not burning clean, dry wood. If you're burning wet wood and stuff, it creates creosote, which is a tarry, sticky substance that gets up into your chimney. It can either block your chimney or it can start on fire after a time too when it gets hot.
Okay. Okay. Well, the chimney is probably a big one in Minnesota. We get very cold temperatures. How often do you suggest that people have their wood-burning chimneys inspected by a professional?
Well, I think they should do it every year if they're regular users of a fireplace. And what that would do is they would clean out the creosote and clean the chimney down and check it for any cracks in the mortar or anything like that.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, if a fire were to occur, obviously that would be very unfortunate, but having working smoke detectors is huge when it comes to fire safety. Talk a bit about the importance of routinely checking all of your smoke detectors.
Okay, and you're right, smoke detectors are important. They're really your first line of defense in a fire, the sound of a smoke detector. And if you see, have a smoke detector going off, you should always investigate or get out of the house. The problem we have with smoke detectors is 90 to 95% of the homes are reported to have smoke detectors, but it's a much less percentage that have detectors that actually work. They may be just too old, they're not functioning anymore. A lot of times the batteries are taken out or the batteries are dead. We've had incidences where people have told us they've taken the batteries out using a child's toy, and they don't get them back in. Sometimes they'll take them out if they're too close to a shower or too close to a kitchen where they get smoke, and they'll take the batteries out. Our recommendation there, of course, is to move it so it's not so close to where a shower is, or move it out of the kitchen so it's in another area. But don't just take them out and not replace them.
Absolutely.
So, another thing I'd like to say about detectors is carbon monoxide detectors are also required, and they have their own problems that they create. So,
going back to smoke detectors, I know one thing that we were discussing actually before this was it might be a common misconception that they kind of come in the house. You can buy them battery operated and put them just about anywhere. What areas of your home do you want to make sure have properly working smoke detectors in it?
Well, you're right, and it depends on the age of the home. We recommend you put smoke detectors in all your bedrooms. If you have a house now, or say time of sale, where you're selling your home, you're probably required to put a smoke detector in the bedrooms now. Those can be battery-operated smoke detectors. Where we have new homes in Bloomington or a home that's remodeled, what they'll require is a smoke detector in every bedroom, and typically that'll be an electric smoke detector. And the codes now say they have to have battery backups, and also the smoke detector will sound in all the rooms. One detector will set off all the other detectors, which is important because if you go to bed at night, smoke detector goes off in your bedroom, they're loud, but they're not necessarily loud enough to alert others in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely. Well, switching gears a little bit, furnaces are something that we in Minnesota obviously use quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Talk about, is there a hazard there if you don't have your furnace inspected that could be causing a fire?
Yes, what happens with furnaces, and one of the biggest things is filters. People don't change filters, and what that makes the furnace do is it has to work harder to get air for complete combustion. Okay. If you're not getting complete clean air to your furnace, it can affect how the flame is burning, and that can cause carbon monoxide poisoning or whatever. The other reason you want to get your furnace maintained is you can get these cracks in your burners, and which causes more gas to come out. You get incomplete burning, and when you get that incomplete burning and stuff, that's what causes carbon monoxide. And it can spread throughout your house. And that doesn't just apply to furnaces. You have other appliances like hot water heaters, your kitchen stoves if they're gas, other things like that should be checked out too to make sure they're burning properly.
Okay. Why don't we talk a little bit about the importance of education when it comes to, simple fire safety tips like this?
Well, that's always important, and what I like to think back of, I was on the fire department for 20 years, and we used to do the school programs, and the fire department still does that today. What was interesting is that you'd go into the schools in these 4th grade programs and younger and talk to these kids. Well, as I got older and met some of these people as adults, they would remember the stop, drop, and roll, the home escape plan, and things like that. So it was always interesting. What I find we do is we try and educate, especially senior citizens. They seem to listen when we go in there and talk to them. And actually, with fires, they're one of the top number, are people that actually get injured or get killed in these type of fires. So they listen, they have a lot of questions. And then the kids, of course, in school also do, but it's those in between that we have a hard time with. For one thing, it's hard to get them gathered to talk about fire safety. And the other thing is, a lot of people think they're invincible, that fires happen to other people, and they don't realize it until it actually happens to them, what a fire can do and how bad it can work. So.
Okay. Well, I guess as we kind of get out of some of the winter months, hopefully, the Bloomington Fire Department stays plenty busy. What are some of your routine things that you guys do during?
Well, we're going to get into the spring here now. What happens now is we're going to outdoor fires. House fires are year-round, don't get me wrong, there's things people do. But with the winter months, people stay in the house more, and it tends to be more fires happening inside the homes. When you get outside the home, we'll start with barbecue grills. We'll have fire pits, and people not burning them properly, or not keeping safe distances from buildings or structures, and it can always cause problems. Of course, if we get dry weather, not likely this year, it doesn't seem, but we have problems with that too. Fire can spread along grass and catch on houses on fire and stuff like that. We've had that happen in the past. So one thing I recommend for people is look at our websites and that, and look what our rules are for recreational fires and barbecue grills.
Okay. Well, now, if someone had a concern regarding whether it be their chimney, their furnace, their fire detector, their smoke detectors, who can they contact to have a professional come out and look at these types of things?
Well, I think with computer use, the best way to look at is your websites and that stuff, and see who cleans them and stuff. We're probably not a good resource because I don't keep a list of people that do that, but I do strongly recommend they look up somebody that they can use that does a good job of it, and they could just keep them doing it year after year if they're satisfied with their service.
Great.
So,
okay.
I would like to mention something else too, that there are some websites, and I want to give one website, which is nfpa.org.
Okay.
People can go onto that website and they can look up its safety programs in there. What they do is they have a lot of sheets in there that explain fires, and there's just a ton of information on it anyway. But again, that's nfpa.org, and they can click on there, and there's just all kinds of information. There's kids' games and everything, but it all relates to fires and fire prevention.
Wonderful.
So, and of course, you can contact us at Bloomington Fire Prevention Division also, and you can get that through the city's website.
Perfect. So. Okay, well, thank you very much. And we'd like again to thank Bloomington Fire Marshal Jean Dugal for being here with us today. It's time for a short break now. We'll be right back.
The first step to getting into college is finding someone who can help. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
Welcome back to Bloomington Today. As promised, we're keeping you in the loop regarding the progress of the 169 I-494 interchange project. Construction is officially underway as crews spent the first week of March preparing surrounding service streets for the new frontage road system. According to a MnDOT spokesperson, residents can expect to see pile driving and excavation begin very soon, as well as retaining wall and pier construction. All this is groundwork for the new Washington Avenue Bridge, spanning I-494 and the flyover ramp from westbound I-494 to southbound 169. Continue to tune in to Bloomington Today, where we'll bring you updates on the various phases of construction as they begin to happen. Well, Bloomington's favorite choral groups are coming together to present a one-of-a-kind concert to celebrate the community. The Everybody Sing Choir Festival will feature 9 different choirs and hundreds of singers ranging in age from 9 to 99. The event is set to kick off on Sunday, March 20th at St. Michael's Lutheran Church at 3 p.m. Groups performing include the Angelica Cantante Youth Choir, the Bloomington Chorale, the Sing for Life Singers from Friendship Village Retirement Community, the Notable Singing Group, and many more. This is a free event, so everyone is encouraged to stop by St. Michael's, located at 9201 Normandale Boulevard. The event is hosted by the Angelica Cantante Youth Choirs and made possible by a special grant from the Bloomington Fine Arts Council. Well, at the March 7th City Council meeting, longtime member Steve Elkins submitted his resignation. Governor Mark Dayton has appointed Elkins as the District 5 representative on the Metropolitan Council.
Councilmember Elkins was one of many candidates seeking a position on the Met Council position, and he was selected and will be appointed on this Wednesday. And what that means is he must resign his position as a Bloomington City Council member. And it's wonderful, and I'm going to miss you, really. I think you brought many things to it, and what we have before us is a signature on a letter.
How many years have
resigning.
you been here, Mr. Elkins?
This is my 10th year.
God, you're a newcomer.
Yeah.
So I think the Met Council position is one that you will serve well in. It's and it'll be look forward to working with you from that position. So.
Likewise. So it's obviously with decidedly mixed emotions I leave, because it's we've accomplished some great things here in the last 10 years.
Remaining members adopted a resolution acknowledging the vacancy, thus starting the clock to getting that vacancy filled. Council has 45 days to appoint a replacement for Elkins. The person who is appointed to fill the seat must be a resident of Bloomington's Council District 3 and agree to serve the remainder of Elkins' term. His seat is up for election in November this year for a 2-year term beginning in January 2012. Council has until April 21st to appoint someone to the vacant seat. If you enjoy authentic Japanese cuisine, listen up. In a few short weeks, the annual Taste of Japan Dinner and Fundraiser will take place. This event, put on by the Bloomington Sister City Organization, will be held on Saturday, March 19th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Bloomington Hilton. For just $55 for adults and $25 for students, you can enjoy a delicious dinner, cultural entertainment, over 100 silent auction items, and a raffle drawing for a flat-screen TV and an iPad. To order tickets, call 952-563-8713 or visit the city's website and keyword search Sister City. And for more information on city projects, parks, road construction, and events, visit the city's website. That and so much more is online right now at www.ci.bloomington.mn.us. Check out past Bloomington Today shows by visiting the city's YouTube channel, or for real-time alerts, become a fan or follower of the city's Facebook and Twitter pages. We'll do you even one better, sign up for eSubscribe to have updates sent to your email or cell phone. This is Bloomington Today, a presentation of the City of Bloomington's Communications Division. I'm Kaylin Cockerill.